All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're heading straight into the heart of Lahore, Pakistan, right into the bustling civil secretariat, to unravel a 400-year-old historical mystery. For generations, millions of people have tied their hearts to this majestic Mughal structure known as the Tomb of Anarkali. It's a place that's practically synonymous with ultimate sacrifice, royal defiance, and a tragic romance that spans centuries. But as we're going to explore today, history is rarely as neat or, honestly, as romantic as the movies make it out to be. And hey, speaking of movies, listen to this. I swear by this scale of justice, whatever you ask of Akbar once in your life, you shall receive. If you've seen the legendary film Mughal-e-Azam, you can probably hear the booming voice of Prithviraj Kapoor delivering that exact line right now. That cultural touchstone, along with the foundational 1932 stage play by Imtiaz Ali Taj, completely cemented the legend of Anarkali into our collective consciousness. We have literally been told a story so incredibly powerful that we've just accepted it as absolute historical fact. But here is the million-dollar question. Did any of this actually happen? It's such a simple question, but it completely shatters the bedrock of this deeply ingrained myth. I mean, what if the doomed lover never existed in the way we think? What if this magnificent tomb in Lahore holds a completely different royal occupant? Well, we are going to look strictly at the physical evidence, the historical timelines, and the original records to find out the truth. So let's start with part 1, the myth of Anarkali, a fabricated tale. To understand the lie, we first kind of have to look at the story everyone thinks they know. And what's really fascinating is how simple and universally resonant this 3-step narrative is. Step 1, you have Prince Salim, who becomes the future Emperor Jahangir, falling madly in love with a stunningly beautiful concubine named Anarkali. Her title actually means pomegranate blossom because of her delicate beauty. Then, step 2, his father, the mighty Emperor Akbar, discovers this totally unacceptable rebellion. And finally, step 3, the devastating climax. Akbar orders Anarkali to be ruthlessly bricked alive inside a solid wall. Now, some versions say she was moved through a secret tunnel to Lahore to live out her days, eventually dying there, which prompted a heartbroken Jahangir to build a magnificent tomb in her honor. It's dramatic, it's tragic, and it's completely fabricated. Moving on to section 2, Secrets of the Tomb, Inside the Structure. Let's actually leave the whole cinematic universe behind for a second and step inside the physical structure standing today in Lahore. The second you walk in, you'll see something that makes absolutely zero architectural sense. The tomb's cenotaph, the grave marker itself, is pushed completely to one side of the room. Now, this is highly unorthodox for Mughal architecture, where perfect symmetry is literally everything. The grave should be dead center. So why is it shoved into a corner? Well, it tells us that this building has had a very chaotic, messy past. And you can actually trace that chaos through history. So it was constructed in 1599 as a grand Mughal tomb, but it definitely didn't stay a quiet resting place. Fast forward to the 1830s, during the Sikh rule of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, this sacred tomb was actually converted into a private residence for French mercenary generals. Literally, General Allard and General Ventura lived there. Then the British arrived, and in 1851, they converted the tomb into a Christian church. Today, it serves as the Punjab Archives. So the crucial takeaway here is that over 400 years, the interior was drastically gutted, repurposed, and redesigned. Moving a grave marker out of the way to make room for a living room or a church altar, suddenly that makes total historical sense. But here's the good news. Underneath all that colonial and modern plaster, the original Mughal soul is breathing again. Conservationists are currently doing some truly incredible work out there. The structure hides these incredibly rare, massive double domes, which is essentially a dome built over another dome, creating this massive hollow chamber. And even more breathtaking, they are uncovering the original, vibrant, red fresco floral art and these intricate geometric stucco designs on the walls. It is an absolute masterpiece of Mughal art, which is a stark contrast to the dark, grim myth of a woman suffocating inside a brick wall. Which brings us to section 3, Who invented the lie? Origins of the myth. So where on earth did this tale come from? Let's look at the primary sources. On one hand, we have the meticulous Mughal historians of the time, scholars like Dagestani and Hafif. Even Emperor Jahangir himself wrote a highly detailed autobiography, the Tuzga Jahangiri. Now, if he fought his own father to the brink of civil war over a concubine, you'd think someone would have jotted that down, right? Yet across all these contemporary records, there is absolutely zero mention of Anarkali, complete silence.
But then compare that to the English travelers, like William Finch, who visited the region in 1618. That's 19 full years after Anarkali supposedly died. He, along with other European travelers, basically spun this spicy romantic tale to send back to England to sell books. They were painting the Eastern empires as exotic, decadent, and brutally dramatic. But, the myth also really gained traction thanks to a massive linguistic misunderstanding. See, engraved on the tomb cenotaph is this poignant Persian couplet, and it's signed with the name Majnun Salim Akbar. Now, a lot of people saw the word Majnun and instantly thought of the famous Middle Eastern romantic folklore, Layla and Majnun. They just assumed Prince Salim was calling himself the crazy romantic lover of Anarkali. But in the actual historical and linguistic context of this inscription, Majnun doesn't mean a romantic lover at all. It literally translates to someone who is profoundly, devastatingly grief-stricken. It was an expression of deep mourning for whoever was actually buried there, not some secret confession of forbidden love. And really, the final nail in the coffin for historical accuracy arrived in the 20th century. Playwright Imtiaz Ali Taj wrote his phenomenal drama Anarkali back in 1932. And don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant piece of literature, but Taj actually built his masterpiece on the sensationalized colonial hearsay of writers like William Finch, not on grounded Mughal facts. Basically, we fell in love with the play, and we mistook the script for a history textbook. On to Section 4, the real Prince Salim, a ruthless operator. See, the pop culture myth paints Salim as this soft, lovesick prince who'd just throw away a whole empire for a concubine. But in historical reality, Jahangir was a deeply calculating, honestly ruthless political operator. I mean, when Emperor Akbar's key minister stood in his way, Jahangir simply had him murdered. When his own son, Prince Khusrau, rebelled against him, Jahangir didn't show mercy. He had his own son blinded and later allowed his other son, Shah Jahan, to kill him. He inflicted severe, fatal punishments on the 5th Sikh guru for morally supporting Khusrau. He even strategically blocked his son Shah Jahan from marrying his beloved Mumtaz Mahal for 8 long years, just so he could secure a different political alliance with an Iranian princess first. This is clearly not a man you get swept away by a fairy tale romance. This is a man who leverages every single ounce of power he has to rule an empire. And finally, Section 5, the true occupant, who is buried here. So, if Anarkali is a total myth, who is actually buried here? Well, uncovering the historical layers leads experts to a very different, very real woman. This grand tomb most likely belongs to Sahib Jamal, who was Emperor Jahangir's highly influential third wife. She was an incredibly prominent Mughal royal, the mother of Prince Parvez, and just a woman of immense stature within the imperial court. And the year 1599, that is the crucial missing puzzle piece here. Because 1599 is the exact historically recorded year that Jahangir's wife Sahib Jamal passed away. And conveniently enough, 1599 is the exact same year the myth claims Anarkali was bricked into the wall. So this grand tomb wasn't built for a concubine at all. It was built by a grieving Prince Salim for his royal wife, right on schedule. So why did history just forget about her? Well, honestly, a rather mundane, natural royal death was simply overshadowed by the glamorous, sensational fiction of a doomed concubine. Sahib Jamal just wasn't as politically legendary as Jahangir's later wife, Nur Jahan, and her life didn't end in a dramatic execution. So when colonial travelers arrived years later looking for a juicy story to tell, the real, respectable resting place of Sahib Jamal was hijacked and essentially rebranded as the dramatic tomb of Anarkali. And all of this leaves us with a really provocative thought. If our emotions are attached to a story, even a historical lie becomes the truth. As a society, we just love the underdog, right? We love the tragic romance of a powerless girl standing up to an emperor for love. It's intoxicating. Imtiaz Ali Taj and a whole legacy of filmmakers gave us a story that felt so emotionally true, we didn't really care that it was factually false. The real Anarkali isn't buried in that tomb, she's buried in our imagination. I hope this explainer has sparked your curiosity to always question the legends we accept as facts. Until next time, keep questioning and keep learning.